Welcome to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. First of all, there it is. There you are. Happy to everyone. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It is a day... Yes. It's a day in which we all celebrate Dr. King's legacy by taking his words out of context to make it look like he agrees with whatever we're saying. As King himself said, "You're right, Stephen." The U.S. Senate is marking Dr. King's birthday by doing what they do best, nothing. Democrats hope to spend the holiday passing much-needed voting rights legislation. To do that, they have to modify the filibuster. But that dream died last week, thanks to Arizona Senator and Mrs. Hamburglar, Kyrsten Sinema. Last week, Senator Sinema took to the Senate floor to announce that while she values voting, the filibuster is her first love.
While I continue to support these bills, I will not support separate actions that worsen the underlying disease of division infecting our country. What is the legislative filibuster other than a tool that requires new federal policy to be broadly supported by senators representing a broader cross-section of Americans?
No, not representing a broader cross-section of Americans. The 50 senators who are currently filibustering the voting rights bill represent 41 million fewer Americans than the senators who support it. Stop acting like the filibuster is anything other. Stop acting like the filibuster is anything other than an anti-democratic tool, which is also a pretty good description of Kyrsten Sinema. And for the record, this is what Martin Luther King said about voting rights and the filibuster.
I think the vast majority of people in the United States would vote favorably for such a bill. I think the tragedy is that we have a Congress with a Senate that has a minority of misguided senators who will use the filibuster to keep the majority of people from even voting. They won't let the majority of senators vote. And certainly they wouldn't want the majority of people to vote because they know they do not represent the majority of the American people. In fact, they represent in their own states a very small minority.
The sad thing is, Dr. King could make the exact same statement today, and it would be just as relevant as long as he mentioned Wordle. Senate Democrats and the president met to try to get Sinema and her obstruction buddy, Joe Manchin, on board, but afterwards, Biden didn't sound too optimistic.
We all ask questions about complicated subjects like, can you get this done? I hope we can get this done. The honest-to-God answer is, I don't know whether we can get this done. Is this mic on?
Oh, no. Oh, no. That is the weakest I've seen a president look since JFK's inaugural.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask, can your country do anything? The honest-to-God answer is, I don't know. Is this thing on? Hello? Where am I? Who am I? Marilyn, heat up the tub. I'm coming home.
Now, another person, who doesn't like a bath? It was very cold.
Yeah, it was cold. You could see the cold coming out of his mouth.
Another person who has a strange way of celebrating Martin Luther King Day is incoming Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, seen here after being sworn in as the Penguin. On his first day in office, Youngkin signed 11 executive actions, including one ending critical race theory in Virginia schools, which, for the record, is not taught in Virginia schools, but that Youngkin categorizes as any school lessons that define racism as an institutional problem deeply embedded in American society. So, history class. After signing it, Youngkin returned to the executive mansion in Richmond that was built in 1813 by... Okay. The next day, Youngkin headed over to Fox News Sunday and used Martin Luther King to defend his anti-knowledge agenda.
And the immortal words of Dr. Martin Luther King ring in our ears that we must judge one another by the content of our character and not the color of our skin. But this is what will be the founding principle of our executive order, what we're going to do in Virginia schools.
You think Martin Luther King's message to America is don't teach children about racism? Well, let's see if he agrees. King said, whites, it must frankly be said, are not putting in a similar mass effort to re-educate themselves out of their racial ignorance. It is an aspect of their sense of superiority that the white people of America believe they have so little to learn. Wow. You know what that sounds like? You know what that sounds like? That sounds a lot like critical race theory. Glenn Youngkin should stop them from teaching about that guy in Virginia schools. But it's not just your votes Republicans don't want you to count, it's also you. We just found out the census officials wrote a memo in 2020 complaining of unprecedented meddling by the former president's administration in the 2020 census. Well, it makes sense. That last guy didn't like counting anything. COVID infections, pounds on a scale, Eric as his son. The memo, this memo dates from the fall of 2020 when the administration was pressing the Census Bureau to end the count weeks early. If you end a count weeks early, you're not doing a census. Thank God these people were never in charge of a field trip. Okay, is everyone back on the bus? 1, 2, Board of Counting, floor it. Fine. Shush. I'm drinking. Quiet. But it wasn't just moving up the deadline. The administration was adamant that for the first time ever, the Bureau separately tallied the number of undocumented immigrants in each state and had a far-reaching plan to scour billions of government records for hints of foreigners living here, illegally or not. Ooh, sounds like somebody was in the market for a fourth wife. But here's the thing, they didn't want to add those immigrants to the census. They wanted to exclude them, leaving an older and wider population base in states with large immigrant populations, something that was presumed to work to Republican advantage. Exclude immigrants and include as many older white Americans as possible. It's a process that wedding bands refer to as playing a Billy Joel song. Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a... I love Billy Joel. I love Billy Joel. The Census Bureau pushed back hard to the point where one expert said their efforts to protect the integrity of the census operations were nothing short of heroic. Yes, America was saved by the latest superhero addition to the MCU, Census Man. He was a normal father of 3 until bitten by a radioactive accountant. Speaking of bureaucrats, the CDC updated their COVID guidance to suggest that schools cancel football and band. But without football and band, how will our kids learn the lessons you can only get from a football player stuffing you into a cello case? So far, schools have resisted the guidelines, saying that they are unrealistic. According to one former CDC advisor, you've got nerds, literally science nerds, who are writing these things. Also explains the guidance from the website, avoid high-risk activities such as eye contact with the pretty girls, questions about the game last night, and any classroom situation in which your boner might be visible through your Dockers. You can't, that's a brand name, capital D on that Dockers. TM, TM. You can't blame the CDC for being careful, though. We're learning more about long-term COVID effects, and they're not good. For instance, scientists have determined that COVID dick is real. Yes, but he prefers to be called Ron DeSantis. Thank you. Oh! Thank you. Wow. I reprogrammed you. I rebooted you.
Yeah, that was...
I rebooted you with that joke. A study from November found that men who caught COVID were about 3 times as likely to develop a new case of erectile dysfunction as those who didn't. Okay, one question. Can I get a few more boosters just to be safe? Do they have a Pfizer ID? Should my penis be wearing a mask? Just best practices is all I want to know. Luckily, the condition doesn't appear to affect a huge proportion of men. Okay, not great for people trying to comfort a struggling partner. Don't worry, darling. This happens to well, actually, it happens to almost no one. This is really just you. Thankfully, male sexual issues caused by COVID can be treated, according to one urologist. All it takes is penile rehab. And to get the penis to realize it has a problem, you might need penile intervention.
Dear penis, it makes me sad to see you laying around doing nothing. I want to get you help so that one day together we can get back to hearing that beautiful sound. Boing.
We got a great show for you tonight. My guest is Senator Elizabeth Warren. But when we come back, I tell you everything I know about modern romance. It's going to be a short segment.